and let us all do we can to build a better future.
All right, now speaking of fun, we're going to have some fun. I promise for today's show we're going to have fun. That's right, we're talking about Majority Report, Nomiki Kantz, and the big fight for the Senate District, the 57th Senate District in the state of New York. So what is going on? Well, it turns out Majority Report had some big news a while back saying their good friend and contributor to the show, Nomiki Kantz, Nato Nomiki. You know, her. Remember her? Well, you know, she's running in a race where there's already a progressive candidate. Now, I know a lot of you are burnt out by electoral politics. I find this hilarious because Aaron Mate and Max Blumenthal call out Nomiki Kantz for doing this because she's basically, I said basically, right? I got to stop saying that word. What she's doing is splitting the vote because there's already a leftist who's endorsed by Workers' Family Party. I know a lot of you are burnt out by them. Already endorsed by DSA. I know a lot of you burnt out by DSA, and this other candidate, and we'll tell you who this candidate is, also endorsed by AOC. Now, I have no idea why Nomiki is getting involved in this, because apparently the opponent, the corporatist opponent, is a friend we all know named Crowley. Remember that guy? Yeah, that guy. He's back. And Nomiki, you know, is entering into that race. But there's some people calling out Majority Report like, hey, why are you promoting this? You're splitting the left vote. You're causing division. You're causing division. We can't have division in here. We just can't have it. It just won't work. Here, let's play this first video.
Emma's Cashews writes in, hey, Majority crew, I like Nomi and think she'd be a great senator, but are you worried about the chance she splits the left vote with Kristen Gonzalez and Crowley gets elected? Gonzalez already got endorsed by AOC, DSA, and the Working Families Party, so why should I support a candidate when the rest of the institutional left is backing another leftist poggers? It's a great point. It's a great point. Look, yesterday, I did not know that Nomi was running in a district with Kristen Gonzalez and this
New York's your
who's backed by
backyard.
DSA,
You should know
one of
it.
this
You should
historic,
know. That's inexcusable.
Historically large number of DSA endorsed candidates in the upcoming elections here in New York. I wish I had known that, frankly. You know, Nomiki's a friend of the show, and she's gonna, you know, it's her choice to run. But I really don't have an answer for how that, because
I mean, I got a lot of those messages too. I didn't anticipate that conflict, and perhaps I should have. I haven't looked closely at the candidates yet,
right,
other than to know that they exist. And
frankly, I was a little confused because the districts had just been redrawn, so it was hard to keep track for me.
Yeah.
But
look, this is nothing personal to Nomi. It's that I support DSA candidates. This is true if DSA put in somebody against, you know, my buddy Chris running in Dallas. He didn't run as a DSA candidate. I would have supported DSA over him because of that ideological reason. And I think, like, look, I think there's certain folks who say, like, this is democracy and, you know, win. And I kind of, in a vacuum, can relate to that and, like, see the best candidate win. But, you know, you do have that Crowley vote split issue, and you do have the entire rest of the left lining up behind Kristen Gonzalez, who I think looks like a really good candidate, and who I'm probably going to donate to. So yeah, it's a we've heard the criticisms, and
very valid, very valid, frankly.
And I think that's like the challenge probably for Nomiki's campaign is how do you, like, that's a huge concern.
So, okay, all fair points. Now, look, you know, sometimes I've occasionally on the show, you know, punched that Majority Report, but all right, at least they're acknowledging, you know, comments from their audience, right? And that was a clip that Aaron Mate managed to, you know, clip out, post on his Twitter page. If you're not following Aaron Mate, please do so. He's an award-winning journalist who's done phenomenal investigative work. But also, the thing is, there was an interesting point in that video, Lauren, that was brought up about Nomiki's campaign. Not only will she have to be addressing the fact that she is entering into a race where she could be potentially splitting the left and their vote. Again, you know, as you brought up, the left likes to do that splitting up and infighting. Yeah, true, yeah, they do. However, let's go back in time for a little bit. Let's bring up this tweet from Max Blumenthal, because love that graphic. Love it. Love it. Max Blumenthal brings us up proud to have played a role in bringing Ro Neo Kana and Nato Nomiki together to fight for progressive causes. So again, Ro Kana in the bottom tweet is saying that he's endorsing her and backing her up in that race. Hey, Ro Kana, how come you're not supporting, the progressive that's already there? So here, I want to bring up something that's a blast from the past, because Nomiki, at one point, and this is sort of being pro-censorship, at what point is Congress going to look into these paid propagandists here to disrupt the left and push fascist conspiracies? Some of the funding has shown up on tax returns being funneled through journalism awards by Assadis. So she's talking about Aaron Mate, Max Blumenthal, The Gray Zone, Mint Press News, Jimmy Dore, and other independent media networks. She's tweeting out to Congress, hey, put more censorship in, which is not cash money. These guys are toxic and spreading disinfo. Ro Kana, again on the bottom tweet, the far left's refusal to condemn the immoral and illegal Putin invasion is appalling. It is nihilistic relativism. I stand by my words in this exchange and reject Max Blumenthal and RT talking points where he's a contributor. I have human rights progressive approach to FP, to Max Blumenthal. So there we go. So the thing is, you got Ro Kana there endorsing Nomiki, but also Nomiki calling for Congress to put in more censorship towards independent media. Now, again, I want to point out the Gray Zone, Mint Press News, Aaron Mate, Glenn Greenwald, Max Blumenthal have done phenomenal work. They've broken award-winning stories. Their record speaks for itself. And again, that's something that Nomiki's campaign is going to have to deal with. Plus, hey, who is this other candidate? I just want to pull up her campaign page. Her name's Kristen Gonzalez. She's running for state senate. She already has a lot of progressive groups endorsing her. What's the incentive for Nomiki getting into this race already? I mean, Kristen has the backing up already. Yeah. So it's kind of, I don't want to say that's settled, but with Nomiki entering the race, it's very counterintuitive.
I mean, again, it does seem like the only thing that's going to happen is taking away votes from the person who's already got the support, which doesn't seem great for either one of them.
No, it doesn't. Now, there's another twist, because we're going to time travel again. We're going to go back in time. So I have this article from Politico. It is a little bit spicy, but also something that Nomiki's campaign will have to deal with. Now, this article came out in May 1st of 2019 from Politico. With taxpayer dollars flowing in, Kant's public advocate campaign accused of fraud. What is going on? So, it was 2 months into his work on Nomiki Kant's campaign for New York City public advocate that her accomplice aide, Jason Conliani, there we go, Conliani, said he began to suspect something was wary. So on February 21st, hey, I like that day. February 21st, just 5 days before the election, the campaign received its trace of public matching funds, a roughly $500,000 payment that matched each dollar Kantz raised from small local donors at the city's 8-to-1 rate. The very next day, an invoice arrived at the Kantz campaign office for nearly $90,000 worth of canvassing and field operations from a Louisiana firm called Deep South Political Consulting, Conliani said. By Conliani's account, the invoice shocked Dominique Chouvena, Kant's official campaign manager. For one, the campaign was already amassing an internal canvassing team. Why hire another? Further, the decision to hire Deep South Political Consulting hadn't been run past Chouvena, he said, and Conliani, who recently gone through the city's campaign finance board training, said the invoice itself was bizarre, asking for payment for services that hadn't been rendered and in one lump sum. In the days that followed, Conliani says he increasingly began to suspect something was amiss, eventually prompting him to file a complaint in April with the city's campaign finance authorities alleging massive fraud by the campaign and Ms. Kantz. So continuing on, in his formal complaint, Conliani says he suspects the campaign used public matching funds to funnel money to Kantz off the books and de facto campaign manager, a man named Lonnie Paris. It's a funny name right there. Oh, there you go. Lonnie Paris.
Lonnie Paris.
2 days after Conliani filed his complaint, Kantz issued a public statement accusing Conliani of being a sexual predator who used his position in the campaign to harass her, an accusation he emphatically denies. A lot of little twists and turns that are happening here. The public advocate is an elected office with few enumerated powers, but an outsized megaphone. The public advocate is supposed to act as a check on other city politicians and keep them honest on behalf of taxpayers. That's funny, keeping other politicians honest.
We got jokes.
It's a serious position. So there we go. It is also often launching pad for higher office. So there we go. Kantz was one of more than a dozen candidates who sought the office. Conliani's allegations, if proven true, would represent a serious black eye for both her campaign and the city's generous public matching fund system for any candidate running for municipal office, which advocates argue is key to getting more people involved in city politics. The system became significantly more lucrative for candidates when city voters approved in November 2018 a ballot measure that expanded the taxpayers' match for every small dollar donation from 6 to 1 to 8 to 1. In the public's advocates' race and office with only $4 million budget, taxpayers shelled out roughly $7 million in public campaign financing. The allegations from within Kahn's campaign raised questions about whether she obeyed campaign finance laws and raised a larger issue of whether those laws are sufficient to protect the millions of public dollars going to campaigns. The board does not comment on inquiries regarding complaints, campaign finance board spokesperson Matt Soller said. So a red effing flag. On February 22nd, the day that the Deep South invoice came in, a newly suspicious Conliani decided to hit record on his cell phone. In the recording that he would later share with Politico, a voice identified as Shuvanova's can be heard expressing concern about the invoice. She says Paris, the consultant, had considered Kahn's actual campaign manager, who is not listed in any official campaign paperwork, was insisting the payment was legitimate. He was obviously very stressed when you said it's a red flag, Shuvanova whispers on the tape to Conliani, and he tried to make it your fault. He tried to make it my fault, which is in itself a red effing flag, Conliani said on tape. I was like, if we're going to spend $100,000 on anything, I have to understand what it is. I have to know that if it's real, Shuvanova said on the tape. I have to make sure that things are done in a complaint way. The meaningless snippet of recording is anecdotal and misleading, Shuvanova later told Politico, but did not deny it was her voice on the recording. In New York, it's legal to record an in-person or telephone conversation as long as one party of the conversation consents.
Is that one party, the person doing the recording?
Yeah.
That's
So,
good. Okay.
Again, there's a little bit more into the article, too, but look, when it comes down to this campaign for New York State, folks, there's a lot that Nomiki's campaign will have to answer for, especially from what happened not only in 2019, but also her previous comments on Twitter, where she's calling for more censorship on journalists like Aaron Mate, Max Blumenthal, Glenn Greenwald, calling for censorship on Jimmy Dore, calling for censorship on other independent media networks. That's not cash money if you're running as a progressive. And there we go. Lauren, your thoughts.
I mean, yes, it's really not cash money if you're looking for progressives, but it also seems that she doesn't have a problem making cash money where cash money don't exist. So
there we go. All right. Well, hopefully, maybe we'll learn a little bit more into this story. We'll find out a little bit more of what is going on. So there we go. Just thought we'd share with all of you lovely people. And again, I find this story to be a little bit spicy, but, there we go.